Failure is an option here. If things are not failing, you are not innovating enough. Most people treat failure like it is the opposite of success. Elon treats it like proof that you are actually trying. When SpaceX was testing its Falcon 1 rocket, it failed 3 times in a row. 3 times. On live television, with the whole world watching. And instead of shutting it down, his team studied every failure, fixed every problem, and launched again. The 4th launch succeeded and changed the space industry forever. If you are not failing at something right now, ask yourself honestly, are you actually pushing hard enough? When something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor. Statistics never built anything extraordinary. Every single industry that exists today was once considered impossible by the people who came before it. Elon was told by aerospace experts that building a private rocket company was financial suicide. He did it anyway because he believed the mission mattered more than the probability of success. Think about the one thing in your life you have been avoiding because the odds looked bad. The odds were never the real obstacle. Your belief in the mission is what determines everything. Persistence is very important. You should not give up unless you are forced to give up. There is a critical word in this quote that most people miss: forced. Elon is not saying never quit. He is saying do not quit voluntarily when the battle is still winnable. In 2008, Tesla and SpaceX were both on the brink of collapse at the same time. Elon split his last $30 million between both companies instead of walking away. He was not blindly optimistic. He was stubbornly persistent because he had not been forced out yet. Most people quit 3 feet from gold simply because quitting felt easier than continuing. I think it is possible for ordinary people to choose to be extraordinary. This is the quote that should be printed on every school wall in the world. Elon was not a golden child. He grew up in South Africa, was bullied so badly at school he was hospitalized, and escaped into books because real life was too painful. Nothing about his start was extraordinary. Everything about his choices was. Extraordinary is not a personality type you are born with. It is a daily decision you make about how hard you are willing to push and how long you are willing to keep going when everything says stop. I don't ever give up. I'd have to be dead or completely incapacitated. People say they never give up all the time. Elon has actually proven it. After the 3rd consecutive SpaceX rocket failure in 2008, his engineers were devastated. Some wanted to walk away. Elon gathered the entire team, told them they were going to build a 4th rocket with the remaining parts they had left and launch again. That 4th rocket was the one that worked. The difference between people who change the world and people who almost change the world is almost always found in what they did the moment after their biggest failure. If you are trying to create a company, it is like baking a cake. You have to have all the ingredients in the right proportion. Failure in business almost never happens for one reason. It happens because one ingredient is missing and nobody noticed in time. Maybe the technology was brilliant, but the timing was wrong. Maybe the team was talented, but the funding ran out. Maybe the product was perfect, but nobody knew it existed. Elon has spoken about watching companies fail because they optimized one ingredient while ignoring the others. Before you blame one thing for why something is not working in your life, look at the whole recipe first. You have to be pretty driven to make it happen. Otherwise, you will just make yourself miserable. This is Elon being brutally honest about entrepreneurship in a way most people are afraid to say out loud. Building something from nothing is genuinely painful. It is not glamorous. It is not the highlight reel you see on social media. It is long nights, hard decisions, public failures, and private doubts. The only thing that makes that sustainable is being so driven by the mission that the pain becomes worth it. If you are pursuing something purely for money or status, the misery will outlast the motivation. Find the thing you would do even if it hurt. My biggest mistake is probably weighing too much on someone's talent and not enough on their personality. This failure confession from Elon is one of the most valuable business lessons he has ever shared. After years of building companies, he realized that the most talented engineer in the room could poison an entire team with the wrong attitude. He has since spoken about how much he values people who take ownership, who do not make excuses, and who make the people around them better. Think about the people closest to you right now, in your team, in your friendships, in your life. Talent gets you noticed. Character determines whether you last. Starting and growing a business is as much about the innovation, drive, and determination of the people behind it as the product they sell. Products do not build companies. People do. Elon is the reason investors kept believing in Tesla through years of losses and production nightmares. His personal conviction became the company's survival mechanism. There were multiple moments where Tesla should have died by every logical business measure. It survived because the person behind it refused to accept that outcome. Whatever you are building right now, your business, your career, your creative work, you are the most important ingredient. Never outsource your belief in your own vision. It is very important to actively seek out and listen very carefully to negative feedback. Every successful person says they want honest feedback. Almost nobody actually means it. Elon has built formal systems at his company specifically designed to surface bad news fast. He wants to know what is broken before it becomes catastrophic. Most people surround themselves with people who tell them what they want to hear. And then they are blindsided when reality arrives with a different story. The people who tell you what you need to hear, even when it stings, are the most valuable people in your life. Protect them. I always invest my own money in the companies that I create. I don't believe in just using other people's money. When everything you have is on the line, your decision making changes completely. Elon put his entire PayPal fortune, roughly $180 million, into Tesla and SpaceX. He was personally broke by 2008. He was borrowing money from friends to pay his rent. That level of personal investment creates a quality of focus that cannot be manufactured any other way. Whatever you are working on, make sure you have real skin in the game. Commitment without personal risk is just a hobby wearing the costume of a dream. Constantly think about how you could be doing things better and question yourself. The most dangerous moment in anyone's journey is when they stop asking whether they could be doing things better. Success creates comfort, and comfort creates blind spots. Elon holds what he calls an idiot review, a process where his teams tear apart their own work looking for anything that could be improved, simplified, or eliminated. He applies the same process to himself. Build this habit into your own week. Every Sunday, ask yourself one honest question. What did I do this week that I could have done better? That single question compounded over years is worth more than any course or book. Work like hell. I mean, you just have to put in 80 to 100-hour weeks every week. Before this quote makes you want to close the video, hear the context. Elon said this specifically about the early stages of building something from nothing. He was not prescribing this as a permanent lifestyle. He was describing what the season of building genuinely requires. The people who built the things you use and love every single day did not do it on a comfortable schedule. They sacrificed years of comfort to create decades of impact. The season of sacrifice is always temporary. What you build during it can last forever. You get paid in direct proportion to the difficulty of problems you solve. This is one of the most clarifying ideas about money that exists. Your income is not determined by how hard you work. It is determined by how significant the problem is that your work solves. A person working 80 hours a week solving a small problem earns less than a person working 40 hours solving a massive one. Elon did not become wealthy because he worked hard. He became wealthy because he solved problems that affected millions of people. Stop asking, how do I make more money? Start asking, what bigger problem can I solve with the skills I already have? When you have a setback, it doesn't mean you failed. It means you found one way that doesn't work. Thomas Edison said something similar about the light bulb. Elon lives it with rockets. Every failed SpaceX launch was entered into a database of things that do not work. That database became the foundation of everything that eventually did. The reframe here is everything. A setback is data. A failure is a lesson in disguise. The people who achieve extraordinary things are not people who never fail. They are people who refuse to let failure be the final sentence in their story. It is always just a comma. The first step is to establish that something is possible, then probability will occur. Before Roger Bannister ran a 4-minute mile, nobody believed a human body could do it. Within a year of him doing it, 16 other runners broke the same barrier. Nothing changed about human biology. What changed was the evidence that it was possible. Elon understands this deeply. Once he proves that electric cars can outperform combustion engines, that rockets can land themselves, that underground tunnels can move people at speed, the entire industry follows. You do not need to be the best. You need to be the first to prove it can be done. I think we have a duty to maintain the light of consciousness to make sure it continues into the future. This is Elon thinking at a scale most of us never reach. He is not thinking about quarterly earnings or this year's product launch. He is thinking about whether human awareness and civilization will still exist in 1,000 years. Applied to your own life, the lesson is simpler, but just as powerful. Protect your mind. In a world designed to distract you, keep you scrolling, keep you reacting, the deliberate protection of your own clarity and consciousness is one of the most radical acts available to you. Some people don't like change, but you need to embrace change if the alternative is disaster. The traditional car industry resisted electric vehicles for over 2 decades. The music industry fought digital downloads until it nearly destroyed itself. Kodak invented the digital camera and buried it to protect film sales. Change avoided does not disappear. It accumulates pressure until it arrives as a crisis instead of an opportunity. The people and companies that embrace change early do not just adapt. They end up owning the future that everyone else was too comfortable to prepare for. Brand is just a perception, and perception will match reality over time. You cannot build a reputation that your work does not deserve and expect it to hold. Elon has watched companies spend millions managing their public image while their actual product quietly deteriorated. And he has watched extraordinary products with no marketing budget earn cult followings simply because they were genuinely excellent. The market is not stupid. People eventually figure out what is real and what is manufactured. The most powerful brand strategy that has ever existed is simply doing something so well that reality speaks for itself. People work better when they know what the goal is and why. The number one reason talented people underperform is not laziness. It is disconnection from purpose. When Elon tells his SpaceX engineers that their work might one day save the human species, every single person on that team understands that their contribution matters beyond their paycheck. Whether you are leading a company, a team, a family, or just your own life, connect what you do every day to a reason that is bigger than the task itself. Purpose does not just motivate people. It transforms what they are capable of. I hate when people confuse education with intelligence. You can have a bachelor's degree and still be an idiot. A credential is a starting point, not a destination. Elon taught himself rocket science by reading textbooks and interviewing aerospace experts. He has no formal engineering degree, yet he runs the most advanced rocket company on Earth. The most limiting belief available to anyone without a formal education is that they are not qualified to figure things out. And the most dangerous assumption available to anyone with one is that the degree means they already have. Intelligence is proven by what you build, not by what certificate hangs on your wall. I am not trying to be anyone's savior. I am just trying to think about the future and not be sad. This is the most human thing Elon has ever said publicly, and most people scroll past it. Behind all the companies, the ambition, the controversial decisions, there is a person who looked at the trajectory of the world and decided he would rather spend his life trying to improve it than standing on the sideline feeling helpless. You do not have to start a rocket company to adopt this mindset. You just have to decide that your response to a world with problems is to do something, however small, rather than nothing. If something is important enough, even if the odds are against you, you should still do it. We come back to this because Elon returns to it again and again throughout his life. The world is expertly designed to talk you out of your most important ideas. People who love you will warn you about the risks. Statistics will confirm their fears. Logic will build a compelling case for staying safe. And all of it will be technically true and completely irrelevant to the question of whether something matters enough to pursue. Importance is not measured by probability. It is measured by what you could live with leaving undone. You want to have a future where you're expecting things to be better, not one where you're just hoping to survive. Hope is passive. Expectation is built. There is an enormous difference between a person who hopes their life improves and a person who is actively engineering a better version of their future. Elon does not hope humanity survives the next century. He is building the infrastructure he believes will make survival possible. You do not need to think at that scale, but you do need to ask yourself honestly, am I building towards something better, or am I just hoping it arrives on its own? It is okay to have your eggs in one basket, as long as you control what happens to that basket. Everyone preaches diversification. Elon practices concentrated focus on things he deeply understands and can directly influence. The distinction is not about concentration versus diversification. It is about control and competence. When you deeply understand something and have genuine influence over its outcome, concentration is not reckless. It is strategic. The danger is not having one basket. The danger is having one basket you do not understand and cannot control. Know your basket completely before you put everything in it. I always have optimism, but I am realistic. It was not with the expectation of great success that I started Tesla or SpaceX. This is the rarest combination in human psychology, genuine optimism paired with clear-eyed realism. Elon did not start his companies believing they would definitely succeed. He estimated Tesla had a 10% chance of surviving and SpaceX had perhaps a 20% chance. He started them anyway because the attempt was worth making regardless of the outcome. Blind optimism ignores the obstacles. Pure realism prevents action. The sweet spot between them, doing the hard thing while fully understanding the risks, is where the most important work in the world gets done. In order to have your job not be terrible, you need two things. You need to like the people you work with, and you need to be doing something meaningful. We close with this one because it is the most practical gift Elon has ever given in an interview. After everything, the rockets, the electric cars, the tunnels, the satellites, it comes down to this. The quality of your daily life is determined by who you spend it with, and whether what you do feels like it matters. Not the salary, not the title, not the office, the people and the purpose. If you have both of those things, the hard days are survivable. If you are missing either one, no amount of success will make the journey feel worth it.